a slave, and he ends up falling for her, and she is just confused because he picks her, and she thinks like, oh, you know, I'm just gonna be a lady of the night for him, but he ends up like actually falling for her and wanting to make her the queen. So it's kind of like a little bit of miscommunication, but it was really good and really short, but it kind of like made me love Viking romances, so it was really sweet, so I really enjoyed that one. And then if you didn't watch it, I made a whole book trigger video on my channel. It's one of my most recent videos, so go check that out, But I do remember that this was the first book that I read in July. It is The Wild Robot. Oh my goodness. So I ended up buying the Wild Robot trilogy in a book set from Amazon. The Wild Robot is one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite movies. It is so compelling and so gripping, and I had no idea that it was a book series before a movie. So The Wild Robot focuses on Roz. She is a robot, and she is being shipped on a boat, and the boat ends up like crashing, and she ends up washing up on an island, and some otters turn her on. Now her whole life objective is to help people with like mundane tasks, and so her whole basis of life is living to serve, like living to help. So when she realizes that she's on an island, she has to learn the communication styles of the animals and how like learn their languages, and that's how she's able to communicate with them. Well, in the movie it's a little bit different than the book, because in the movie she ends up meeting a fox, and he ends up like stealing something from her, I believe, and she ends up trampling a goose nest and killing the parents and the other eggs. So, and she realizes that there's one, maybe it's not a fox, it's some kind of like predator, but anyways, she ends up realizing that there's one egg left and no mom, so she makes it her duty to protect the egg and raise the egg, and she ends up with her own goose, and he hatches and she raises him, and his name is Brightbill, and that is the basis of the story, is Roz learning and adapting and having to raise Brightbill. It is such a good story. Like, it is so heartwarming and captivating. This is a children's book, by the way, but it doesn't matter. Like, that is how good the story is. And like, if you watch the movie, I felt like the movie was a little bit more moving and a little bit more compelling than the book, just because like this is for children, so you kind of have a hard time like visualizing, but oh my goodness. And because Brightbill is raised by a robot, he has to learn how to be a goose, and so it's just, oh my goodness, it's so good. So this was the first one that I read in July. So also, if you hear noises. They're thunder. It's storming. The next book that I read, another YA, not even young adult, like I think this is a children's book, but this is The Boy at the Back of the Class. Oh my goodness. Oh, this one made me tear up at the end. Sorry, I had to this one made me tear up at the end. Okay, so this story is about Ahmed, who is a Syrian refugee, and he ends up like immigrating to the UK. He's in like second grade, I believe. Is it second grade? I don't remember, but I know it's like elementary school. And he cannot speak English, and he's all by himself. And there are these 3 students, and it's kind of told in the perspective of one of the little girls who's like in his class and notices him. And she like makes it her mission. She's like, I'm gonna be his friend. I'm gonna be his friend. I'm gonna be his friend. Even though like they don't speak the same language, they don't come from the same culture, anything like that. She just knows that she doesn't want Ahmed to be alone or feel alone. And throughout this story, you learn that Ahmed is waiting for his family, like he's waiting to be reconnected with his family. So he has a foster mom, and oh my goodness, the 3 students that are his friend, they are making it their mission to find his family because the border is closing, and they are scared that Ahmed will never be reconnected with his family. Girl, this one was so good. It's so crazy that this is like a children's book, 8 to 12. It's very deep in like the most appropriate way, and it's so compelling, especially the time frame that we're in right now with like wars and genocide going on, and then the US government, you know, sorry, my shirt's so loud, but the government like rounding people up and sending them away. Like it was just so crazy how this book didn't sugarcoat anything. At the end, I teared up, like I cried, and oh my goodness, it was so good. So this was The Boy at the Back of the Class. The Boy at the Back of the Class. So that was such a good read. Let's see. I feel like I hear like wind and stuff outside. The next one, I had this book for so long sitting on my shelf. I just purchased it and then I guess like never read it. But I read Dating and Dragons. Oh my goodness. So this is Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce. Now, this is kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons-esque book. So we meet our character Quinn, and she's moving to a new town to be closer with her grandmother, and her family just thinks that it's time. So she's going to a new school, and she ends up meeting some new students, and they have a D&D group, and she wants to be a part of it. And they're like, okay, you can come try it out, and you know, trial run. We're starting a new campaign, blah 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 blah. But you know, if you want to be a part of our group, our one main rule understand D&D because I just know that like all it is role playing, so it was nice for a book to kind of break that down. The next book that I read was Happy Place by Emily Henry. This book has been sitting on my shelf for a long time. And I read this on the plane. I went to Florida at the end of July. I read this a couple days before and I finished it on the plane. Now, Emily Henry girlies, please don't come for me, but I did not like this book at all. I'm going to tell you why. So Harriet and Wynn, right? Yeah, Wynn, they used to be a couple. They met in college and they shared the same group of friends, and now that they're adults, I think they're like in their 20s or 30s, in their 30s, they meet up with each other. They go on family vacations to one of their friends. They're like rich friends' vacation home in Maine. Yeah, Maine, or yeah, I want to say it's Maine. Anyway, and Harriet's going. They break up, right? They break up, and they haven't spoken. It's very unexpected, kind of quick and painful for her. But she's like, I'm gonna go to my happy place and be with my friends and blah blah blah. Well, of course, when she gets there, her ex, Wynn, is there. And they have to like put on a happy face, and they're gonna tell their friends at the end of the vacation because there's just so many things in the story going on that they don't want to tell them. So, and the vacation home is being sold, so it's just like this really emotional last hurrah between all of them, and they're all kind of individually going through their own things, and it's just like this, there's a lot of turmoil. I did not like this book. I don't know what it was. There was a lot of miscommunication between our main characters, but the main thing was too many characters. There was 6 characters. They all had their own issues going on. It was such a chaotic read, and I don't know, I also don't like summer books. I don't know, I hate summer, and so I hate reading about summer. Did not like this book. I don't know what the girlies are seeing in this book. And I was really hopeful because I loved Funny Story by Emily Henry, so I was like, okay, but no, this was a total flop dropless for me. But then I read this book directly after I read Happy Place. I was on vacation. This is The Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. So this book follows Jack. I'm also gonna start this off by saying I did not like this book either. This was like 50 First Dates kind of esque. So Jack meets this girl Kate at a party, and they end up hitting it off. And she's in college, and he's a senior about to graduate. And they just essentially like fall for each other. He like is falling hard, and this book is told in the perspective of him. And he finds out that Kate is sick, and the first, I call it cycle, before everything happens all over again, she won't tell him what's wrong, but he does end up finding out what sickness she has, so he knows that he loves her and that he wants to be really repeats, like a deja vu kind of thing. I find it very boring, and it makes it really easy for the author to lose the reader, because like first, to a certain extent, you can already kind of expect what's gonna happen. But yeah, so he keeps like reliving his time with Kate, but because he's trying so hard to save her and save her life, other things in his life start to unravel and start to go wrong. So yeah, and this book was incredibly long. Like, it was so long and so repetitive. I just did not enjoy this one. I do not like that whole, like, it just reminds me of 50 First Dates. That's the only thing I can think, where like, he's the only one that remembers, obviously. Like, sorry, my shirt. Nobody else remembers but him, and it's so annoying. But the next book, this book right here, this one, love. Let me calm it down. Let me calm it down. Love on the Brain. Love on the Brain. Love on the Brain. Love on the Brain. Love on the Brain by Miss Allie Hazelwood. This fucking book. Oh my goodness. So in this book we meet Bee, and she is an astrophysicist or astroscientist. Oh no, she's a neuroscientist who is building equipment for astronauts, like some kind of brain helmet equipment. And she ends up getting accepted into this program to actually create the helmet, and gets sent to Houston, Texas. Shout out Texas. She gets sent to Houston to work alongside another scientist on building this equipment for astronauts. Well, who is the other scientist that she's going to be working with? Her arch nemesis, Levi. She hates Levi because during college he was so mean to her, and she just knows that he hates her, so she's so scared to work with him. But they end up together, and there's so many things from the minute she gets to Houston that is like going wrong. None of her equipment is there. They don't want to let her work, and it's just a huge mess. And she is convinced that Levi is sabotaging her. Levi. So she is just so convinced, but he's like the only person that she knows, her and her research assistant. And sorry. Yeah, but they have to work together. Oh my goodness. That's my stomach, girl. I haven't eaten. This was so fucking good. The banter, the dialogue, the writing, the setting, the plot, every single aspect of this book was so amazing. There's some things that happen that I don't want to tell you about because it's gonna kind of give it away, but there's a little plot twist in this book that you may or may not expect. I literally was reading this book and I was like, whoa, I have like no complaints. Like, I am actually in love with this book. This was such a good, fun read. If you are like a romance lover to your core, I truly believe that you will enjoy this book. Also too, like, if you enjoy science, because there was so much scientific stuff in here, right? And you would probably not have any idea what any of it means unless you like work in that field. But Allie Hazelwood did such an amazing job of like educating you is hitting, nothing is hitting, nothing is hitting. And she's just like down on her luck. Well, a colleague of hers, Dan, is also trying to film a movie, so he's like the filmer and she's like the writer, and she's trying to get this movie in progress, and they're just like, no, no, no. That was thunder. And she's like, oh my god, I know a famous artist that I worked with and we're friends, and if he does a soundtrack for the movie, like, you know, can we get it made? And they're like, absolutely. Well, turns out like he hates her. the artist hates her, and they haven't spoke since they were like kids. But he's going to be playing a festival in Dan's hometown, and at the same time is Dan's parents' like 40th wedding anniversary. And so he's like, come with me and we can find him and I can bring you, you know, along. Jane is like the most insufferable main character that I've ever experienced. Dan literally saved this story because there was so many times that I wanted to DNF this book. Again, not gonna spend too much time on it, but it sucked. So just lame. Also, my light is dying, so, but we only have 2 more books. The next one, oh my goodness, I had no idea Coraline was a book before it was a movie. Coraline is one of my favorite books, but oh my goodness, this ate. Okay, sorry. I'm not gonna go into detail because I feel like everybody has seen Coraline, but oh my goodness, this book was actually terrifying. Like, it was scary, but that's what made it so good. So if you have seen Coraline, you need to read Coraline, girl. It's spooky, scary. It doesn't deviate too much from the movie, but there is no YB in the book. So good, especially this will be perfect for spooky season. So I just was so excited. And sorry, girl. And then the last book I read was Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. Yeah, Alexis Hall. This is a fake dating, miscommunication, everything book. This is about Luke, whose dad is a famous musician turned crazy person, and the paparazzi has been following Luke around and, you know, painting him out to be this person that he's not. And he, sorry, I had to make sure the name was right. He meets Oliver Blackwood and they decide to fake date. Oh my goodness, this is a queer romance. This was like a 4-star read for me. It was so good. It was also over 400 pages, so who am I? Also too, Oliver Blackwood is giving neurodivergent vibes, so I don't know, but it was so good.